This is Andy again, coming back to you with a little bit of an update on what the work that has been done so far for our icons. I wanted to mention that although in the channel you see mostly icon related work, the work that we are doing is much larger than that. We're also working on implementing a set of colors and color variables, a set of fonts, font variables, also spacing guidelines, and basically the small, they're called foundations in a design system. So the smallest piece of design that is necessary to build on for your computer, for your UI. And so it's not just the icons, it's a few more things that we want to implement to lay the foundations for a much easier transition into a modern way of designing for desktop UI. Now, with that said, I was noticing some things that are important to bring out. If you noticed in my previous videos, here I'm going to show you just a little bit of a thing. If you notice these icons at the top, these are Breeze icons as used today. Okay? Look how thick they are. They're 1 pixel thick. Look at the ones at the bottom. These are the new icons that we've been making. What do you notice? The thickness is 2 pixels. Okay? So when users get these new icons, they're going to very quickly notice that the icons are different. Now, let me show you another thing. This is the 24 pixel icons, right? Here is the 16 pixel icons. What do you notice? 16 pixels for Breeze, this quadrant at the top, 1 pixel icons. And our new icons are 1 pixel thickness, right? So what does this mean for the UI? It means today, for Breeze icons, there is largely no difference between a 22 pixel icon up here versus their 16 pixel icons. And so what that did over time for Plasma is that developers or designers have used 16 pixel icons and 22 pixel icons interchangeably. And it will be very apparent under the new icons that your previous usage of your icons will not be good. Because in a menu, you may have a combination of 16 pixel icons that have been resized to 22, and others where you just left it at 22, or you shrunk a 22 pixel icon to a 16. So to the user, this is not a problem, right? Today, because all the icons are largely the same. Some of them have more details, others have less detail, but they're all essentially the same thickness. So I just want to send this out to all of our developer friends and all of our designer friends around Plasma. When we start testing these new icons, we want you to notice those instances in which you have a combination of 16 and 24 pixel icons, and you want to submit a ticket to us requesting an icon to be made at 24 pixel or at 16, whatever it is that you need. That way we can tackle those instances where you have sort of varying thicknesses for your icons. Now you may be thinking, well, you should have just made them all 1 pixel. Well, yes, that's an option. That's what we have today. But in the world of screens, in screen ratios that are always changing and shifting, and people use screens with a certain magnification versus another, your same icon with the same thickness does not help the icon be better at greater or smaller screen ratios or sizes. And so you may think that it's better because it's kind of a cheaper design cost to make something like that, but it comes at the expense of users probably not making out very well what your 16 pixel icon is at a 32 pixel rendering, right? Because it would be too sparse, and the lines in the icon inside would be too sparse and would be sort of blown out to fit the mold that they're in. And then not only that, some of our icons that are 24 or even 32 pixels, they get shrunk sometimes to 16 because somebody decided that that's the best icon they want to use for their 16 pixel implementation. And I've noticed that a lot of Breeze icons at those sizes, at those larger sizes, have a lot more detail. And when you shrink them, that detail is kind of lost. And so what we're doing is, in our new approach, is we want to have thickness that is corresponding to the size of the icon that we have in front of us, and that will scale as you scale your icons. But it won't be done by software, it will be done by design. So that way it's a lot easier for you as a developer to not have to basically pull some tricks in the code so that your icons look good. And it would be more demanding on designers, but that's the work that we do. That's what we like to do, to engage in the building of design for the system. And that way we sort of relieve the burden of our developer friends to basically patch this up and make it look good however they could. So I want to basically send out that message to the rest of the team and to people following this channel that this is one of those changes that will probably will have a very visible impact on our users. So you want to be ready as a developer maintaining an application to let us know and to request the icons that you need, and to use our Bugzilla or our GitLab to send messages to our design team and request the icons that you need. And that is so that we can avoid another problem that happens currently, in that we use icons that in families that don't belong. So for example, let's say you have an action icon, and you have a menu, but you have 5 items and 4 of them are good with action icons, but suddenly you're missing the 5th icon for your menu. Well, what can you do? Let's see if we find something in applications. Let's see if we find something in devices or in emblems even. Well, that might be a good idea, but at the end of the day, your use of the icon may be misguided, because you're taking an icon. For example, let's say if you use emblem icons in a menu, in a context menu, it's likely that your icon will give off the wrong message, right? Because most of the times, let's say, emblem icons are used for indicating actions that you can do, for example, in Dolphin, or sometimes indicating status, current happenings or events in the system. And so when you say that I'm going to take this out of this collection and just put it in a different place, you're basically misusing the icon, right? And so what we want you to notice in those moments is that what truly is happening there is you're missing an icon and you haven't found the one that should be there. And in those cases, you need to let us know so that we can either make a new icon for you, or if it's okay enough, we could link it to another icon that we already have. But the best scenario would be for us to make you an icon in the collection that corresponds to your use. That way it's a lot easier and less confusing. And not only that, why am I saying this? Because through the redesign, we have changed a lot of icons to have more intrinsic meaning and more standard meaning, as a standard as we can make it look. And that means that some icons no longer have the meaning that you previously used it for. So misused icons may now look quite different than what you intended that icon to be. So this is another message to our developer friends or maintainers. Take a look at your applications, take a look at the meaning of your icons, and try to find out if the icon that you're using comes from the right location. And that way we can supply you with the right one. And that way you avoid weird meanings in some of the icons that you'll receive. Now, that actually leads me on to my next update, which is we have finished the 16 pixel icons for actions. And we also finished some of the smaller collections here. So the apps collection now matches our previously redesigned, and now I'm talking only 16 pixel icons, just so you know. Devices also has changed. Emblems. And then MIME types is where I am at right now. If you notice, I have 3 more lines to go. And well, 4 because I'm at the start of this one. So yeah, 3 more lines to go. And I should be able to get this done very quickly. One cool thing is these icons already exist in our previous redesign, and our team members have reviewed them. So it's a lot easier to, with much more confidence, redesign the 16 pixel icons to match what our 24 pixel icons are. Now, I should mention for MIME types, I think I made a little bit of a change just to keep up to basically accommodate for the space restraints that we have in under 16. If you notice in our 16 pixel icon, we have various lettering that we're using to indicate the kind of icon this is and the kind of file type that it is trying to represent. And I know that you don't have all the good icons here, but for the most part, when the icon has 4 letters in 24 pixels, 4 letters usually do not fit in a 16 pixel icon. And so I've decided that the easiest thing I can do is to basically remove one of the letters and hope and pray that the letters behind will be meaningful enough to the user. Now, we have to remember that whenever I have these discussions with people say, well, the icon should actually represent way more than it does today. And yes, that is necessary, but we also have to remember that in most cases, these icons are going to be in context with another label, with a text label next to it. So the icon will sort of be a helper, but not the focus of the UI that the users see. So because of that, I want us to sort of like ease out a little bit on our comments with what the icon should be, because whenever we bring the focus to the icon, we think the icon has to do all the lift and has to carry all the meaning for users to understand what's going on. And that's not true, because all of these icons don't live in isolation. They live in context, in visually contextual elements on the screen. And so it's just enough. That's why sometimes icons can be so simplified. It's because most of the times designers are not going for accuracy, they're going for meaning. And meaning doesn't have to be too accurate to actually convey what it wants to convey, right? If I, for example, did like a rectangle, and I told you this is a house with a label next to it that say this is a hut or a house, you would get it pretty quickly. So, but whereas if it was by itself, you wouldn't get that meaning very well. So these icons all need context and need helper UI to convey its meaning. But that was one thing that I did, even though you have some of them here that already have 4 letters. If you notice the reason why there are 4 letters is because one of them is an I, and it takes up just 1 pixel of space. So that makes it fit. But for example, there are others like this one. Oh, and by the way, I don't know, I'll fix this one here, but it should work just fine. And another change that I did is that if you notice in 24 pixels, there is enough space, for example, for the background item to actually show. And in this one's, it does not. So I actually cut out the bottom of the icon, so to say. And that way it makes more sense. So they will look, I'll show you, for example, let me just show you one next to each other. So here's, for example, Krita, right? You see how there is a little bit of document spacing down here? Well, we couldn't put this here, right? You see how big it is? There's just no room. And so instead, I opted for taking out the bottom part, which is probably less meaningful than most things, and then keeping the middle part. So now they are pretty much the same. And I made one of the icons to be a little bit taller so that way the letters have more legibility. But essentially, we're using the same lettering, the same spacing ideas as in 24, and we're keeping on. And to be honest, when I look at them from afar like this, they look pretty okay. So we're gonna continue on this. Anyway, so that's where we are so far. And after we complete that, we only have places and status as the last, for this part, wave of changes that we need. For status, if you notice, they're very repetitive icons. Most of them are the power icon with battery levels and different designs. So these actually you can parameterize in Figma and PenPod, and you can say, give me an icon that looks like this and just change the leaf for the rocket, right? Like this. And that's that really speeds up the ability for us to create icons very quickly. And not only that, if you use parameters or you use components like they're called in design systems, you can more easily change that to whatever you want. Like, for example, one day we say, well, the leaf, we want it to be green rather than monochrome. Well, we could do that in the green element and very quickly change that for everyone else. So we're going to keep on working on this, try to show the most to the community pretty soon. I have a personal goal that I want to finish all of these icons before the sprint for Plasma that's happening in Graz, Austria. So let me tell you about that. I don't know if you all know this, but longtime contributors of KDE know this very well, but every so often we have something we call sprints. And if you're in the world of development, this is not news to you. But for some people that are not, basically it's a dedicated time where developers come together or engineers come together, and we discuss important issues that need to be addressed in the code as a team. And one of the things that I actually have never attended a sprint in the past for KDE, and it just hasn't happened. And I've had plenty of time to prepare and stuff, but I don't think I ever had something very meaningful to contribute to the sprint. But this year I do. And this year, our intention is to bring in the foundations of our design system into Plasma, so that developers in the future can begin creating these creating UI using some of these ideas. So for that reason, this year we're going to have the Plasma Sprint going from the 21st of April to the 27th of April in Graz, Austria, and I am attending. So as you see, we have our location set up, we have our schedule, we have some of the things, and some people have entered some of the ideas that they want to work on, but very likely we're going to do this while we are on site. We will identify some of the things that we need to request. So my personal goal is to complete the icon collection for the 16 pixels by that date, before the sprint, so that at the sprint, maybe I can find help in packaging a first version of this icon theme, and then release it for testing or as something that can make it public for others to use, and then also request the creation of documents or files containing all the variables coming from the design system. So it's a lofty goal. My time is super limited and help is welcome, but that should be what is coming for us next. I'm hoping to have greater news from after the sprint, but other than that, I just wanted to let you know this is what we have so far for this month, for the month of March, or from the last update until now. So if you want to join some of this effort, you're welcome to subscribe to this channel and request any help that you need. We have some great introduction documents that can help you get into the field of open source design. And let's have fun together.